Hi everybody, Cecile here with Get Mental Podcast. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a great week. As you can see, I put on my red lipstick just for you all today because I'm very excited for our topic today, and it is exploring what women do wrong and get wrong in relationships. So, first of all, ladies, I want you to know I am 100% in your corner. 100% in your corner. But, part of loving you all and giving you good, balanced advice is to also look at your blind spots. Look at our blind spots as women. So I'm here to advocate for the ladies, but to also hold us accountable, because that's really what's in our best interest, and that's what helps us grow and become better women and better mothers, better partners, better sisters, better friends. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. And this is part of our series today. Today is Transformation Tuesday, but we launched a series last week called Computer Love, where we're talking about all the pros and cons of online digital virtual relationships, right? Like, is it a hopeless place? And T and I basically, concluded that no, it really isn't. And it all depends on who you are, how you show up in the space, and what you do about your issues, because we all have them. And in Get Mental, that's what we say. We all have issues. So I'm going to jump right into the subject of what women do wrong. And thank you very much, by the way, because a couple of our Facebook members also contributed to some of this content, and I'll go over that in a little bit, okay? So here we go. The first thing that I thought of, and I know a lot of women who are this way, and me included, is miss too independent, okay? I think as women, it's a dangerous kind of trajectory if we don't check ourselves about this Miss Independent thing. Because, now we have so many options, and we really, almost can have it all, right? And our lives as women today is very different from the lives of our mothers and our grandmothers. And so thank heavens, because I don't know how I would have survived back then. I like my options. I like my freedom, my autonomy, my independence. So there's nothing wrong with that pursuit. It's when we get it twisted, basically, okay? I'm just gonna keep it real. What do I mean by twisted? Miss Independent, right, as Neo sings about it, is not about not needing or wanting partners or help or support, right? It's not about not being able to receive anything from the opposite sex, okay? So the goal isn't to be so extreme that any kind of help, support, love, assistance you shy away from. That's not our goal. And the goal isn't to also swing to the other end of the pendulum where you're codependent, right? So here's the spectrum. Too independent all the way over here. Good ad. And then the end of the spectrum is codependence, right? Where you don't have a self, and you're always putting other people's needs, thoughts, and beliefs and feelings before your own. We don't want that either. What we want is somewhere in the middle, okay? Somewhere in the middle of the continuum is what we call the sweet spot of interdependence. Delicious, delicious, delicious. That's what we want. We want interdependence, okay? That's a meeting of both worlds right in the middle. And of course, middle isn't like perfection. The idea here is to set an intention, to learn how to hold your own when you really have to, right? To know where your boundaries are, your non-negotiables, the things that you're really clear are where your values are, and know when to bend them for the betterment of the relationship, right? We can bend, we can flex without compromising who we are and our values for the health and growth of the relationship. That's what interdependence looks like, right? Is that it's okay to need each other, but we're not overly and dysfunctionally reliant on the other person for our existence, for our worth, for our value, okay? There's a self that's in there outside of the relationship with your partner. Hopefully I'm making sense, okay? So just balancing that out. The second thing is fear of vulnerability. This kind of goes hand in hand sometimes with being too independent, right? Is that we can sometimes, if we don't check ourselves, we can, start to kind of go into this lane where you also think or are afraid to show some real true feelings. Well, how are you ever going to let anybody in if the only thing they're seeing is the good, the great, the calm, the collected you? That's not reality. You know, we all have bad days. We all have days where, we're not coping well with things, or when we really are needing some help and assistance. So lean into that, ladies. And if you need some help with that, look at role models in your life, women in your life who tend to have this grace about them, where they can be soft, they can be firm, and they can kind of live in both worlds. If it's a chronic pattern, then it could suggest that you have some things that are blocking you and making you feel unsafe in the world, and that's where a therapist, like myself, can help. We can help you flesh this out and kind of help you feel more secure, and kind of look at what we call your attachment styles and what wounded you and so forth, and help you with that. So there are things you can do, but you don't have to always be strong or appear strong and put together. As a matter of fact, right, you guys have probably heard this before, there is absolute wisdom and strength and vulnerability. When you are able to do this, you are showing up, in the relationship as your authentic self, and you're also sharing this part of you that is tender and special and deeper. So that in and of itself can strengthen and deepen the love bond in your relationship, right? Think about it. When somebody opens up to you and it's somebody you really love and care about, doesn't it open up your heart and love them a little more? So that's kind of the dance. So I think for us women, we can get a little caught up in not being vulnerable because we're guarding, we're protecting ourselves, we're too scared to get hurt. And I can relate to that, coming from my own experiences where my heart was broken. I don't know anybody whose heart has not been broken, but you don't want those experiences to close you up, okay, or harden you. You want those experiences to be learning opportunities so you can continue to open up your energy, like I talked about before, and expand and flourish and receive, okay? By the way, just a disclaimer on vulnerability. Vulnerability does not mean overshare. It does not mean, TMI. Healthy vulnerability means knowing when to disclose, what to disclose, with whom to disclose. And usually, hopefully we're picking a healthy, safe, trusted person in our lives to disclose special information to. They have to earn our trust. The degree of disclosure should really match the degree of trust that is in that relationship. Okay, but if you continue to guard and you've been with somebody a year, 2 years, and you're still kind of holding back some key things about yourself, or not wanting to share like some of your experiences in the relationship, those are blocks. That blocks love, okay, and intimacy. This is why vulnerability is so important, okay? So that's all I want to say about that. The other thing is miss too liberated, okay? Miss too progressive. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, because I, from time to time, have suffered from that. So I say this with love and respect, right? Again, I think it's great, women, ladies, we need to celebrate, our sensuality, our sexuality, our strength, our stamina, and how we're really like just coming into our own and stepping into our own power. That's amazing. But again, too much of anything, even good things, creates an imbalance, okay? Too much of anything, even good or great things, can create an imbalance. So you don't want to be overly, Miss Thing, right? And you don't want to be so focused on just your beliefs and your goals and your ambition that you forget that you are in relationship with somebody else. That's why it's called relationship. Relate is the key word, right? You're supposed to relate to each other, and that means caring about what the other person cares about. I say this all the time, and I really try to practice it in my own life. Caring about what my partner cares about, not just having them care about what I care about, okay? It's kind of neat to watch that. The other thing is too many mixed messages, okay? Ladies, if you really think about this deeply, we do have a tendency to send mixed messages, and that's for a variety of reasons, Part of that is sometimes because we're not clear about our own values or what we really stand for, right? There can also be some passive aggression kind of embedded in that. What I mean by passive aggression is like, like saying something like you're really upset, say for example, because your husband or your boyfriend forgot something that was really important to you, for example, and you're kind of harboring some resentment, but you don't want to talk about it yet, and so he picks up on it and he asks you is everything okay, and you're like, yeah, it is, nothing's wrong, right? That's a form of passive aggression. Like your tone, the way you're answering the question, you obviously seem irritated. And so for the person, the man on the receiving end, they're kind of like, what the heck? She's saying she's fine, but she's kind of talking to me with that tone, and she's giving me the silent treatment. So that's a mixed message, okay? That's kind of a simple example of that. On a bigger scale, a mixed message could be a form of what we call, drumroll, because it's kind of a big word for, if you're not in the clinical world, cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is basically when you can't get on the same page with yourself, okay? Follow me here. It's when you can't get on the same page with yourself. So an extreme example of this is on some level that you deserve more, right? That you deserve happiness and you deserve to succeed, okay? You're holding that belief over here. But on the other hand, you are not asserting yourself. You're not going for the things you want. You're not taking risks, okay? That's a form of cognitive dissonance, meaning you have two opposing beliefs, two opposing realities. On one hand, you're saying, I deserve, I'm worthy. And then on the other end, your life is not reflecting that. So on some level, you're saying, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve, I can't take risks, I can't afford to fail. So there are two opposing beliefs, and that creates dissonance. And when you're not conscious of the dissonance, that can create a mixed message. Okay, let me bring it back. So another extreme example is if you're in an abusive relationship, right? And you're saying, I know I deserve better. I know I deserve respect. And I know I deserve to not be in an abusive relationship. Okay? That's one belief that you really believe. But on the other hand, you're still in the relationship. And you don't know how quite to get out of it and then stick yourself out of it, right? And again, ladies, it's not your fault if you're being abused, okay? That's not what I'm saying here. But that's an example of two opposing beliefs. And so that cognitive dissonance is usually where we come in and help people become more aligned with their values and to move in the world in that way, where how you move represents who you are and what you believe in and what your values are. And it's a beautiful feeling when you're in that space. So that's another issue. The other thing that can happen is miss too perfect. I'm sorry. Sometimes what that looks like is you really think like you're the bomb, and that this person over here better be a certain individual, in order for you to give them your time of the day. Well, you don't really want to approach relationships like that, because that's, it's kind of coming up from this kind of power differential already, right? We want interdependence. Sorry, we don't want this being over somebody or you being over here. We want interdependence. So just kind of watching for some of those attitudes, because that attitude needs to be adjusted, ladies, because again, you're going in there already thinking you're better than the other person, and that's usually a turn off for men. And you could also be very much foregoing a beautiful man, whom you didn't give a chance because they didn't meet your standards. So it's obviously okay and necessary to have standards. Just watch the standards. It's not about perfectionism. There is no perfect person, no perfect partner. The partner will be perfectly imperfect, right? At the end of the day, it's about choosing, and this is not an original, this is from somebody else whom I can't remember, probably Terry Real, I think that's who said it. At the end of the day, it's about choosing a set of problems you are willing to live with. Meaning, a person will come into your life. You might want to have a relationship with them. They're going to come with all the goodies and the not so goodies. And person B is going to have the same set of scenario. Person C is going to have the same set of scenario. So at the end of the day, when we take all the romantic feelings out, and we just look at the set of issues, baggage, problems, whatever you want to call it, that this person will bring to the relationship. And you're bringing some too, by the way. It's not just the other person. We all have issues. It's about awareness, right? And what we do with it. You have to, come to terms with that and take responsibility that, okay, I'm picking this over this because I know this is what I can live with, or this is where my edge is, or whatever it is, right? So that's one of the things that women can do wrong. The other thing too, and if some of this is a little abstract, some of this is really going to be more fully and deeply explored in a therapeutic relationship. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a therapist. It's really because the way we love is largely rooted from how we were loved. And so are these complexities about it. And that's where we can help you tease it out to help you understand what your patterns are and how we can help you break them to get to a more healthier place. Okay, again, not about perfection, just getting to a healthier place. So that's the other piece that people do, or women do wrong. The other thing, and this is still under, this perfectionism thing, is searching for the perfect man and idealizing relationships and partners, okay? Idealizing relationship and partners. What does that mean? That means, think about the Hollywood version or the pop culture, pop song versions of love and falling in love and finding the right guy, right? It's like so fantastical, and it's not our fault. It's part of the collective conditioning, but part of consciousness and growing is stepping out of that paradigm and realizing that that's not real. That's not reality. I mean, yes, the falling in love phase is a real part of the relationship, but the actual growing and deepening of love isn't always like, sunshine and unicorns and, this kind of very blissful process. No. And we don't want to idealize a person either, ladies, because again, that's falling into the codependency pattern, right? Like, yes, you want to look at your man and go, oh man, he's so good. He's so beautiful. He's so handsome. He's such a great dad. Beautiful. That's all awesome and beautiful, right? What I'm talking about is not thinking that literally your life depends on this guy and that who are you going to be if it wasn't for this person, and, in an unhealthy, dysfunctional way. So just kind of coming back to reality that, there is no knight in shining armor that's constantly going to be available and be in sync with you, and it's always going to rescue you from whatever. I'm sorry. Just Disney. Disney. Just really ruined it for a lot of us. Thanks, Disney. Can we have some better characters, please? I hear they're starting to rethink this whole Cinderella Sleeping Beauty thing. I hope so. Anyway, that's the other thing. And then the two things that our Facebook members have suggested that what they feel, thank you by the way for contributing, what they feel are some of the issues women have is overanalyzing, okay? And I think we've all been there, you know. We meet a guy, first date, and we already got a whole story, right? A whole story about the person, a whole story about what we think they're going to be like, a whole story about the future. You know, he could be Mr. Right. I mean, we've already like gone way over outside into the future without any evidence, you know. So you don't have to do that. You could just enjoy the date. Okay, this is where mindfulness can really be helpful. Meaning, yes, notice your mind doing that and then come back to the present moment and check yourself and remind yourself, like, this is just a date. He doesn't have to be Mr. Right. I don't have to know that. I can just keep evaluating and enjoying myself and getting more information while I enjoy myself so that I can make a decision about whether or not I want this person to be in my future, right? So just kind of slow down. And overthinking can also be a sign of anxiety, okay? Of wanting a sense of agency and control over what's going on. So if that's chronic, if that's persistent, please consider the help of a therapist. The other thing, and this was from a man, is the double standards that women sometimes have. And I think, you know, that I kind of touched on that already with the cognitive dissonance and the mixed messages, you know, that we can sometimes send if we're not aware or conscious, and that sometimes we have difficulty admitting when we are wrong. That is one of the things that this gentleman felt strongly about. And thank you so much for being vulnerable, because you could have been not attacked. We don't have people who attack on our group, thank God. But you know, you could have been. You put yourself out there basically by expressing that, and some women could have confronted you, but no one did. So the point is, I do think that we do that sometimes, and it's not just women who do it. I think generally people have a hard time admitting when they're wrong, taking responsibility. There's a lot of kind of distortion around that, a lot of maybe shame. The thing is, ladies, there ain't nothing wrong with making mistakes, okay? And, you know, the beauty of an apology is that it immediately de-escalates the situation, and it immediately softens the person who's feeling offended. It is just like, it's such a effective balm that envelops, you know, the conflict and just makes everything a lot more subdued. Okay? Try it. I literally have experimented with this too, with just loved ones, my son, my husband. I'm just like, just say sorry. Just say sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my behavior made you feel that way. I can see why it would make you feel that way. Or, you know, sometimes it's a sorry, but hey, that's still effort. Mean the sorry. They'll feel that. They will feel the sincerity. And that's really, in the end, what is most important. Is it's a felt apology, you know? And it just makes for a better you, makes for a better relationship. So try it out, okay? So this is a longer than usual video, but it's an important subject. And next week, we're also going to talk about what men do wrong in relationships, how men can improve. And this Thursday, for Think Through It Thursday, Mr. T. Smith is going to talk about his perspective, his male perspective on what women do wrong. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for listening. And we're also going to have a podcast on computer love and all of these things that we're talking about, so that you can listen to it and share it with your friends. And our point is really to educate and make this relationship accessible, understandable, fun. And you know, to inspire you guys to seek therapy if you know you're stuck in patterns. I mean, if you have the resources, there's no good reason really to wait. It's safe, it's confidential, and really most of the time it works. It works. So that's all I want to say about that. Last thought, okay? Love is love, ladies. Passion is passion. Sex is sex. Chemistry is chemistry. Do not get it all twisted. And I've been there, okay, where we think sex is love, passion is love, chemistry is love. No, 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 no. Sex is sex, passion is passion, chemistry is chemistry, love is love. Love can have all of those things. Okay, it can have chemistry, it can have passion, it can have great sex, or not so great sex sometimes. But love is love. Okay? Yeah, you guys really want to chew on that. It's not the same. Okay? So that's all I want to say about that. Thank you for listening. Like we always say, be well, be gentle, get mental, because we all have issues. Thank you guys. Bye.